So when this season started, neither of us were really sold that much on the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, for a variety of reasons. But after knocking off Oklahoma City in Game 5, the Mavericks are now only one win away from the Western Conference Finals.
I mean, I'm shocked. I was not sold on this team after last year. Kyrie and Luka didn't look good. Their supporting cast, I was like iffy on it going into the season, but goddamn, everyone is bought in. They're playing great defense. This team is deep as hell, and at this point, they're a legit contender to win the title this year.
Before we start talking about the Dallas Mavericks, if you haven't already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. So our mistrust for the Mavericks comes from a couple things. I think one of the biggest ones is past trauma, just watching the Blazers bang their heads against the wall year after year after year with the Dame and CJ combo. Also, like you mentioned, the way they ended last season, going only 5-11 when Kyrie and Luka were in the lineup together. And also just me personally, I was kind of in a Luka hating mood at the start of this season. I wasn't a fan of how much he just dribbled the air out of the basketball, how he gave you basically nothing on defense. And also, is it just me or was he bitching at the refs a lot at the end of last season?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, he still does it now, but he's toned it down a little bit. I mean, I didn't think this team would make the playoffs. Like, I thought they'd be a play-in team, but get bounced out.
And I thought Luka was the 9th best player in the league.
Yeah, some crazy takes in hindsight. Feel free to roast us, but I don't know. I still liked Luka. I thought he was one of the top 5 players in the league, but I just didn't like the supporting cast. Like, they picked up Grant Williams, Derek Lively, Derek Jones Jr. Going into the season, I had a lot of question marks about that supporting cast.
Yeah, in the first half of the season, I mean, they were fine. They were kind of bouncing between the 6 and the 8 seeds. The second half of the season, they surged though. I mean, up until February, they were 26-23, and they had a lot of the same problems they did last year, i.e. their defense was kind of ass, 24th in the league in defensive rating, but they added PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford at the trade deadline. And from then on, last 33 games of the year, they went 24-9 the rest of the way, including a stretch where they went 15-2. Their defensive rating went from 24th in their first 49 games to 7th in their last 33 games. Obviously, give a ton of credit to Gafford and PJ Washington because they had a huge role in transforming Dallas's defense. But a lot of credit needs to go to Luka and Kyrie because defense, it's a learned skill. I think there's a lot you can, teach guys about how to play defense and whatnot, but it's also at least 50% effort. And in the past, Luka and Kyrie, Luka especially, have been pretty apathetic towards playing defense. But in the second half of this season, they have turned that around.
I mean, I'm shocked by Luka specifically. Like Kyrie in the past, I think he's gotten too much hate. He kind of gets lumped in a little bit with the other guys, kind of like Dame, but he's an okay defender. Luka has not really shown the effort in past seasons. There's been highlights where he's been like, dude, what are you doing? But this year, he is locked in. He's able to make plays on defense. He's not a guy you can just walk past. Big credit to Luka for buying in and really playing okay, passable defense.
So the Mavericks, they finished the season 50-32. They matched up with the Clippers for the 3rd time since 2020. We have 2 videos on this series, one that we made before the series even started, and then one that we made after the series. So we'll kind of blitz through it pretty quickly. But I mean, long story short, this series was basically about the Mavericks defense really holding the Clippers in check. I mean, the Clippers, they did win game 1 and they did win game 4, but the 2 games they won, really it was because they just started the games off insanely hot. Game 1, they started off insanely hot, kept that up throughout the game, and by the time Dallas started to at least somewhat put it together, it was far too late. Game 4, again, same thing. They start off insanely hot. They get up by 31, but even still, Dallas almost came back and won game 4, despite the fact they trailed in the first half by 31 points.
Yeah, besides game 1 and then a few quarters in this series, they dominated. It wasn't like Kyrie was going off. He had some big games and hit some big shots, and Luka was great as well, but the supporting cast again was huge. And then, like you said, the defense, Kawhi, I know he was hurt, but when he played, complete non-factor. They made Russ look like absolute trash.
They made him look like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
He doesn't belong.
And then James Harden and Paul George sure had their moments, but they kept them in check. So it's what you need in the playoffs. You need defense. Everyone knows it, and the Mavericks are finally putting together. Big credit to the front office, PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Derek Jones Jr. Where would they be without those guys? Incredible that they just turned their entire roster around in one offseason.
In round 2 against Oklahoma City, I mean, I picked them them to win this series. You picked the Thunder. I think we both agreed it was going to be a pretty close, pretty back and forth series. Game 1 was kind of the same as game 1 against the Clippers, although this time the Thunder just waited until the fourth quarter to pour it on. They win by 22. Game 2, though, on the road, the Mavericks, they're able to steal a game thanks to 29 from Luka, and again, 29 from PJ Washington. Not just great on defense, but a guy who could come off the bench and give you some scoring that they really haven't had in the past. I mean, Kyrie only scored 9 points in this game. Kyrie scores 9 points in a game last year. They're fucked.
I mean, if you showed me Kyrie and Luka's stats for this playoff series, I would say they would have gotten swept. In every game, it's like a 20-point blowout. But it's incredible that Luka's played like average at best. I know he's banged up. Kyrie really has not been good, and they've been completely dominant in this series. Like, they could have easily finished the series by now. They probably should have won game 4, and it's all because of the supporting cast. Sure, Luka's had solid games, but goddamn, this supporting cast, specifically PJ Washington, this series, incredible.
I was going to say, if you look at like Luka and Kyrie's stats from the regular season compared to their stats in the playoffs, they're way down.
They are?
They're way down. Like, Luka was averaging, I think, 33.5 points in the regular season. He's down to like 26.5 in the playoffs. Same thing with Kyrie, 26 points in the regular season, 21 in the playoffs. Like, their stats are way down, and yet they're winning games because, again, they got a solid supporting cast, guys who know their roles. And again, I want to give credit to Luka and Kyrie for actually, committing to playing defense. It's a lot for a star player to essentially swallow their ego and be like, okay, look, I actually need to buckle down and I actually need to play some defense.
Yeah, in game 3, the Mavericks win despite, like we said, not great performances from Luka and Kyrie, but PJ Washington, he was great. He had 27. Shea got his, but the rest of the Thunder didn't really make a difference. And then game 4, Mavericks should have won this game. Like, they controlled most of it. Kyrie, again, was not very good. PJ Washington stepped up. He led the Mavs with 21 points. Derrick Jones Jr. adds in 17. And even though they won this game, I know people don't like moral victories. Like, this was a testament to like where they've come as a team. Last year, if Kyrie and Luka play like this in a playoff game, they lose by like 20, maybe 30.
I mean, you have a game like this where Kyrie and Luka combine for 27 points. That's it. Most of the time, one of them will get you that, almost guaranteed. They combine for 27 points. And not only is it a close game, you're up by 6 halfway through the fourth quarter. And like you said, a lot of people looked at this game and were like, the Mavericks had it. They had a game where their 2 stars played like ass. And I mean, game 5, like you said, felt like a moral victory and the Mavericks came out and played like it. Yes, Luka was excellent. He had a 31-point triple-double. But again, Mavericks, they only hold the Thunder to 92 points. It really feels like to me in this series that the Mavericks are kind of just like, okay, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, we want you to beat us. Like, they're keying in on the rest of the Thunder. They're keying in on Jalen Williams. They're keying in on Chet. Because Shai, yes, he averages 30-plus points, and he's done it for the past 2 seasons, but he's really not a high-volume scorer. I mean, his career high is only 44 points for a guy who's averaged 30-plus points in each of the past 2 seasons. Like, that almost sounds like a shitty math problem. Like, how can a guy whose career high is so low average so many points?
Yeah, it doesn't seem possible. And Shai, again, he's getting his. He's been the best player in this series, but the rest of the guys, they've completely shut down. Jalen Williams has been nowhere near what he was in the regular season. Like, some of the closeouts they had, specifically in that fourth quarter.
Dude, Lou Dort was struggling to get a shot off in that fourth quarter.
Derrick Jones had that block on Chet that led to a fast break dunk. Just incredible. Derek Lively has been sensational guarding the paint. Daniel Gafford as well. Like, this team's defensive depth and just overall depth, it's night and day from last year. Again, those 4 players they picked up have been so huge for their rotation, their depth, their defense, everything. Huge credit to the front office.
And like, this team needs to be an example to the rest of the league. Like, offense is great, it sells tickets, gets you good ratings, gets you a lot of clicks and likes on Twitter and whatnot. But if you're gonna truly win big in basketball, like, you can't rely on your offense alone, because there's gonna be days where you go cold. There's gonna be days where Luka and Kyrie only combine for 27 points, as rare as they are. And if you want to be in a game like that, you got to be able to play defense. And the Mavericks realized that, and because they did, they're flying high and they're proving us wrong.
And they didn't shell out like 5 first-round picks. They didn't do anything crazy. They just made like small, smart moves, bringing Kyrie, bringing PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, signed Derrick Jones Jr. to a 1-year, $2 million. Like, that's how you build a team. You don't have to go all in. Just get your star and then slowly build around them. Huge credit to the front office and huge credit just top to down on this roster for balling out these playoffs.
But I mean, Thunder fans, you can breathe easy now because the Mavericks have just been cursed. so they're going to go down in game 6.
Oh my God, if the Thunder win this series.
I mean, the video we put out last Friday hasn't gone so well for the Wolves. So, Dallas Mavericks, good luck to y'all.
You're gonna need it.
That's the video, guys. Do you think the Mavericks are going to knock off OKC? Love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.